Welcome to the Front Seat Life podcast. This is Jessica Butts, your host and CEO and creator of Front Seat Life, where I help you be unapologetically who you are in your life, love, and business. All right, Front Seat Lifers, this is a very special episode. Today, I have my very favorite person in the entire world on the podcast, my sister, Erica. We have been close and best friends our entire, well, that's not true. We pretty much hated each other during our teenage years. I think as most girls did. But since then, we are the best of friends, deeply in each other's lives. So much so that when I actually started my coaching groups and my business a few years ago, my sister was my helper. I always had this vision of her being a part of my business for some reason. She's funny, she's engaging, she has an unbelievable work ethic, and I just always had this vision. So when I started doing my group programs, she was my helper. She was organized, she greeted people, she just loved on them. She was brilliant at it, absolutely brilliant at it. The lovely and incredible side effect is that she sat in the back of the room, working, doing diligence, being of service to all of my clients for about 2 years, and inadvertently heard everything that I was teaching them. So I just subconsciously, all of this stuff kind of seeped in to her beautiful, beautiful mind. And all of a sudden, one day she called me and said, I think I want to start my own dog walking business. And I think my reaction was, it's about fucking time, and hallelujah, praise God, all at the same time. The reaction was swearing and praying at the same time because it was so obvious. She's been a dog lover, a vegan, an animal rights activist since she was born. It seems like she just kind of came out of our mama, loving on animals and wanting to be of service to animals. So it was just such an easy transition. She's a hard worker, she's organized, but she just needed, I think, to hear the stuff that I was saying about you can leap, you can do the hard work. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take effort. She had to work 2 jobs. But the next hour is really the story of how this person in my life that I love so much made the leap. That she left her shitty corporate job, hence the title of this episode, and made the leap, and how she's making more money. She's so much more happy. She jokes all the time that picking up dog shit all day is so much better than working for the state and sitting in a cubicle and doing something that uninspired her and that she hated. So I hope that you will sit down, listen to this episode as I talk to her, semi-interview her, but basically we're just having a conversation about her inspiring story, because I know how many of you are listening right now that are in the exact same situation as my sister, that you feel like you can't do it. You don't have the blessing from your family. You don't know how you're going to do it financially. And I'm here to tell you, it's not going to be easy. She had to work 2 jobs just as I did. And she had to run herself ragged just as I did, and every entrepreneur I know. And then at some point, which I call it that kind of 51-49, you get to that point of where you've all of a sudden proven to yourself by getting 51% of your income from your new job. I feel like that is the marker when you know, oh my God, I can do this. I get asked that question all the time. When do I know it's time to leave my corporate job? And the answer is when you've proven to yourself that you can do it. You have a business plan. You figured out the financials. You've worked your ass off. You've gotten enough clients. You've done the social media. You have the website presence. You have good customers. And 51% of your business, you've tipped that scale, if you will, and you've gone into making more money in your new job. Because at some point, then you have to actually release the old job, because there has to be more room, more space, more energetic space, more literal space for new clients to come in. And I have seen that time and time again, that when people, and yes, it's a leap, and yes, it's terrifying, but when they make that move and they've proven to themselves, and I'm here to tell you right now, as a business coach, I am here to be a truth teller. I'm never going to blow smoke up someone's ass. I'm never going to be the one that says, oh my God, just quit your job. Like, screw that. I never did that. I had to work a bunch of jobs. I had to work my ass off. I was broke. I came up from nothing. And I believe that that is what proves it to you, that you can do it. And my sister did it. I've had hundreds, countless clients do this. So can you. Enjoy today's episode. Go over to iTunes, give us a review and some comments about how this inspired you, because this is the movement. This is why so many of you are listening to this Front Seat Life podcast and staying motivated and inspired in your life, because so many of you want the same thing that my sister was able to do. Thank you so much for listening, and enjoy. Welcome, everybody. This is going to be one of my favorite episodes of all time, for sure. And I already know that because I am with my sister, Miss Erica Farnsworth. Hi, you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So it took a little bit of convincing to get her here. She is an introvert. This is definitely not her favorite thing to do in the world, but I thank you for being here. So we are in my house, sitting on my floor with her two dogs, doing what we do. I've got like zit cream on my face. No offense, you don't look fantastic either. We look both terrible. And this is the beauty of not doing Facebook Lives anymore and doing podcasts, is we can sit on the floor, have zit cream on, and be a hot ass mess on a Monday night at 7:00. So
yeah, no one can see me, right?
Correct. Okay. Thank God. Neither one of us. Yeah. She showed up and was like, wow, like I have zit cream on. It's a nightmare. And her dogs are here. So Susie Koo and Simon are here, and we're having a good time. So the reason I wanted to have Erica on the show is for a lot of reasons. One, she's fucking hilarious. Two, she's awesome. But the main reason is because this podcast is all about being unapologetically who you are in your life, love, and business. She is one of, if not the best example of what it is like to be in a job that you hate, that is sucking the life out of you, that is literally making you physically ill, making all the excuses in the world, the dangling of the carrot of the pension and all the stuff, thinking that our mom is going to hate her or that she's being irresponsible, all the things, all the stories that we basically tell ourselves. I can't do this. How am I going to get health care? No one's going to pay me to be a dog walker. I'm not going to have, a pension and insurance, and my mom's going to disown me and think I'm a loser. And how can I make money? All the excuses. Everybody has these excuses. There's people listening right now that are like, holy shit, this is me. And what we need to do is some of what Erica has done. And I can tell you these things, and I've done some of it, but I think Erica is even a better example. So, okay, so Erica, tell us what you used to do.
Yes, I worked for the state for 16 years, and I told you before that I want to just be really clear that, like, when I talk about my old job, I just get angry, and it's because I was an angry person, and I was just disgusted with myself when I worked there. So I don't want anyone listening to be like, I would never let her around my dogs. She's so angry.
But that's who you became because your job made you that way.
Absolutely. And that's why this life is even more memorable and wonderful to me, because it turned me back into the person that I used to be.
Wow.
Instead of an angry, just gross person. But I worked for the state. So I got into it and worked with juveniles in recovery. So was a drug and alcohol counselor. It's called a CDP, a chemical dependency professional.
Right out of college.
Right out of college, I started at Ryther, and then I moved to the state, which was crazy because that was considered a good job. And then I moved into parole, just because I wanted a more normal life, weekends off and more normal hours. And I did parole in Yakima and in Seattle, and then eventually in Linwood. And then the job I ended my state career with was as a sex offender treatment coordinator.
And that's, everyone listening, that's as bad as you can imagine. So she worked with juvenile sex offenders and their families.
Yeah, and what people... I think I ended up in that because, this is going to just sound weird, but because I have a lot of empathy, but I could be empathetic. And so anytime someone hears sex offender and then they hear that I hated my job, they think it's because of sex offenders. And in reality, I could empathize with those people and sympathize and see how they became the way that they were. And I still keep in touch with a few clients that I had back then, and I can honestly say they're great people. And what broke me down was the content of that, because I leveled sex offenders. So imagine watching SVU and people are at home, like, you know, with a face mask on their couch, like, this is horrible. It's crazy. Who thinks this up? Well, those are real stories. And that's what I did, was sat on a committee and read the detailed files of these people's lives, how they ended up where they are. And so, yes, that obviously got to me, but I also think if I had a healthy work environment, I could have done that job forever.
Yeah, and so let's get into that, because this is an interesting part of this, is that that's actually not why you ended up leaving, and we're kind of giving away the punchline here, but we're going to get to what you do now. And you worked in the state, they dangled the carrot, all the stuff. So tell us, like, why you ended up actually leaving and what made you so crazy and sick and angry.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say every state agency is like mine, you know, like where I worked.
But this is corporate America too. I mean, what you're just about to describe could be anywhere.
It could be, although a lot of the stories I remember telling Matt, who's my husband again, I remember telling him things and he would say to me, like, you realize that's crazy, right? Those people are sick. And I didn't. I think I just thought that's how work was. Like the fact that I would catch people napping. Or one example is, I remember just a rough day where I hadn't used the bathroom for 9 hours because it was frantic and crazy and busy. And this total psychopath that I worked with was walking down the hall towards me wearing socks. I'm not even kidding. Wearing socks, eating out of a bowl, not even a bag of microwave popcorn. I don't even know where he got a bowl of popcorn. And I just looked at him and I was like, what is wrong with this picture? Why am I working as hard as I am and you're doing whatever the fuck you're doing right now?
Yeah.
And that's how it was. You had people just killing it, trying to actually help people. And then you had just absolute mouth breathers that I don't think some of them can type. I really don't. I never saw a few of my coworkers type or hold a pen. And I just don't, it just drove me insane.
Yeah. And I think this is what is so, I don't know, this is what I do. I try to get people basically to work for themselves, to be an entrepreneur, because and that's not 100% true. I think there's wonderful jobs. I think there's wonderful companies out there to work for. But it's when shit like this comes up, when you are stressed out, when you want to punch someone in the face for eating popcorn because they're not doing their job, and you realize I could be putting my talents to better use. So that is just one example of what an angry bitch you are. So you're my best friend and my sister, and I heard stories after stories after stories. Mom and I literally had to like talk you off a ledge a couple of times. You were gonna hurt somebody.
I actually was scared because I've never been like that angry. And I worked with this woman. It kills me to call her a woman. This just demon. And she was like 100 years old. And you think old people are supposed to be like sweet and awesome. And she was not. She was just not. Yeah, I literally had some of my best visions were of just punching her right in her fuzzy haired head. And that's not the person I want to be.
No.
I don't want to think about that. I don't want to hate people. But yeah, that place broke me down. And I used to say, like, all the time, I would say, we get paid to help or try to help people. But when you're one of the only people actually trying to help people, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't. And, another super quick example, one of my last supervisors was just so out of touch with how everything worked there that I remember one day he was in just the saltiest mood and he said, I've been on the phone with a parent who was angry for a half an hour.
Oh my gosh.
And I just sat there waiting for the rest of the story like, what else? That can't be it. That was it.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, I talk to angry parents and kids for 9 hours a day. And a lot of them want to kill me. I mean, these people did not get on parole because have great coping skills.
Yeah.
And he just, so out of touch. Like, working with people who didn't want to help people and who didn't get to where they were by going through the steps. They just got promoted because they're friend of a friend.
Totally.
Or good old boys club or whatever.
Yeah. And when you're telling me the story, I'm thinking about people at the gym, in their cars, wherever they are right now going, oh my God, this is me. Like I have turned into this angry, bitter, bitchy, as I would say in your back seat, just angry and so not your best self. So this is interesting for me now that you're on the other side of it. I'm about to ask you a question that I don't even know the answer to, but what was the catalyst, Erica? What was the moment, if there was a moment, and maybe there isn't a moment, but where was the moment or the time when because I remember when you said, hey, Jess, I think I'm going to be a dog walker. Yeah. And my response must have been, hell to the fucking yes. Like, it's about time. So you're tearing up. I'm watching you tear up a little bit. So tell us the moment, because I can tell there must be one.
Well, and there was. So I think there was baby steps, but Matt and I lost our dogs within 3 months of each other and just accrued a massive amount of debt. Like, a vet could have said to me, hey, I read about this new treatment where I rub a banana on your dog's head. It costs $5. I'd be like, let's do it twice. Like I would have tried anything to save these dogs. And my credit card showed that. And so I had to get another job. And so this is weird, but I got a job as a driver's ed instructor.
Because you're a badass and will do anything for your dogs.
Yep, worked 7 days a week.
Wow. I almost forgot about this. Yeah, keep going.
And the reason I mention it is because the state or where I worked had beat me down so much. Like every time I brought up something, I was a bitch or, oh God, Erica's talking about not cross-talking at a meeting again. What a hoe. Like nothing that I tried to do professionally ever got me anywhere there, that I actually started to believe I can't do anything else. I'm not a valuable employee. God, it's just a shithole over there. And so I got this job at Swerve teaching driver's ed and I loved it. I did not love working 7 days a week, but I realized like, dude, I'm kind of dope. Like I can teach someone how to parallel park.
And people liked me. The parents were helpful. They loved you. The kids loved you. Like getting your groove back, getting your mojo back.
It totally was. And it surprised me. I thought this would be another thing where I'll just go through the motions, earn some money and get out of debt. But I liked it and I stepped up and it just opened my eyes to like, oh my gosh, I can do other stuff.
Yeah.
Because having the same job your whole adult life really just makes you feel like this is it for me.
And again, this is exactly, I mean, we've got so much more to go, but this is exactly why I wanted to do this podcast, because you know now, because you're one of those people. I mean, I was one of those people, but everybody knows my story and that's boring. But we've all been in that place where you're broken down. I mean, I was totally broken down in my marriage. I tell these stories like I thought I was fat and ugly and I dated all the wrong people when I got out of my marriage because I had no value. And so whether it's a person in your life or a job in your life, we start to believe the fucking bullshit that it's telling us. It becomes our reality. And your reality was, I can't do anything different. I have to stay in this job. I'm no good. I have to stay for this pension. And same with me. Like, I'm not worthy of being loved. I'm not worthy of a great relationship. I'm not worthy. I'm not attractive. I'm not whatever. And so you do all the stuff because you believe that shit that becomes a reality. And I can see the people in their cars right now or wherever you're listening that are like, oh my God, this is me. Yeah. So now tell us about the transition from the swerve. You're kind of getting your groove back to that moment of when, because I remember it came out of nowhere. I mean, I think you even literally texted me and I was like, holy shit, she's finally going to do the thing. Like, it wasn't this like, oh, whatever. It was like, I might do this thing. And then you just started doing it.
Well, and it was so weird. And another reason I brought up Swerve is because I found that job on Craigslist.
Oh, yeah.
And on Craigslist, I saw these ads for Rover. And I didn't know, and I never heard of that.
Okay.
And people were like, oh, there's commercials. Well, I'm working 7 days a week. I wasn't watching a lot of TV. And I saw them on Craigslist. But then I got Swerve job, got super busy. And I'm looking at Susie right now, and I know the night you're talking about because I remember I had a what we call meet and greet with some people to hopefully watch my dogs. And I swear to God, I had just finished like our 47-step dinner process of like a pinch of this, a dash of this, breathe on it like this, poof, poof, you know, like I'm not sure.
It literally is like that. I've watched her dogs. It's unbelievable.
These dogs eat better than anyone I know.
True.
Like, oh, get the celery stick just like this. And this crazy bitch says to me, I like to throw the food around the room and let the dogs forage.
Oh.
And that's exactly what I said. I just went, oh yeah, we're not going to work out. I escorted her to the door, and I think I texted you that very night and said, why the fuck am I not a dog person?
And I literally went, everybody who knows you has been wondering this for how old were you at the time? 39 years? Like, everybody who knows you has been wondering the same thing.
I looked in the corners of the room like, have I been on Candid Camera?
Yes.
Why am I not at Sitter?
Okay, pause for 1 second, because I think this is a fascinating thing too, because people ask me all the time, like, how does it just happen? It doesn't just poof. I believe, right? I believe that it comes in waves, because if this would have happened to you however many years ago, you would have ixnayed it. You would have just said, you would have poo-pooed it. No way, not possible. But it was all of the steps. It was doing the swerve. It was sadly your other two amazing dogs passing. It was getting to a place of like, I can't do this anymore. You went through a huge, horrific illness. You almost died. Literally, you got so sick that I was there with you. It was awful. And then this woman comes to do yours, and then you're like, oh my God, here it is. Here's the idea that everybody around me has been knowing you should do since you were about 5 years old.
Dude, yeah. It's not hard. Like, if somebody said, here's my dinner process, you put a pickle in your ear and feed my dogs while standing on one foot, I would nail that shit. I'd be like, you got it. 100%. I'll do it every time. Not, I'm going to throw the food around the room. I mean, I will follow your instructions. And I just kept thinking, if this nut burger can do this, why am I not doing it? And it was all the stars aligned. You're so right.
Yeah.
It couldn't have happened sooner because I didn't have the confidence.
Yeah.
Like, teaching these crazy kids to drive gave me the confidence.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
And you know what also is amazing? That you and I have never sat down and fully had this conversation about how this unfolds. We were just talking about this. Our grandmother just passed, and that we don't know all these stories about from our mom, from our grandmother. So thank you for doing this, by the way. Okay, so then the text comes, oh my God, I think I'm going to do this. I probably said, it's about fucking time or something like that.
I swear to you, I signed up on Rover the next day.
Yes.
And people can say whatever they want about Rover. That changed my life. Like, I love that stupid app. And of course I had to dip my toe in. Like, I had to see, can I just do this instead of Swerve? So instead of working 5 days a week at the state and the weekends at Swerve, could this become that? Like, I never at that point thought this is going to be my full-time job.
Okay, so everybody listening, please be very clear what she just said. She worked 3 jobs to make sure that it would work. Because a lot of people come to me as a coach and say, oh, I'm just going to quit my job and go be a basket weaver. And I'm like, no, you're not. Unless you're independently wealthy, you have a rich spouse, or what, you get some money in the lottery, something like that. You work your fucking ass off like I did and like Erica did. She worked 3 jobs. You literally had 2 part-time jobs and a full-time job.
And I was working for you.
Oh my God, you're right.
So I had 4 jobs, but your job, I'm using air quotes. I mean, it wasn't a job. It was obviously something awesome that aided me in changing my entire life. Wow. But yeah, there is no way I would ever tell someone just walk away from what you have. That's crazy.
So you had the health insurance, you did the work. Yeah. So then tell us about when you then started to do the dog walking, because then you were, on the verge. You were doing a lot.
I was obsessed.
Yeah, you were.
I couldn't say no. I'm a very bad bored person. So if I shouldn't say that. I'm a bad day off person, because I'll just go full on, nobody showering, like donut all over my face. When I don't have anything to do, it goes downhill fast. And so I kind of went the opposite, though, where I was working way too much. Yeah. And, Matt was just like, you can't keep doing this.
Me too. Mom too. All of us.
That's true. Yes. Everybody was saying that. But, But
you loved it.
He was watching my dogs. But I loved it. And it also takes a lot to build that. You have to say yes to everything. And I'm going to cry like a little sissy. But now, I have the most amazing customers. And I weeded them out. Let's say I said yes to 200 people. Well, now I have a solid, I have no idea, like 40 people that pay me to seriously walk their dogs. Like, that's crazy, but yeah, that's how it happens. Like, not a lot of sleep. I lived out of my car pretty much. Sleeping in a lot of other people's houses, which I don't love, but really being willing to do anything.
Yeah. And for your dream.
For my dream, and just because every dog that I walked and every quality person that I met, like Matt was worried that I was, he's warned me, you're gonna not agree with the way that some people treat their animals, and that's going to be hard for you. And I can honestly say that I don't have any of those customers right now.
No.
Like, these people consider me family and absolutely consider their pet family. But it takes a lot of effort to find those people, or for them to find me, and to just scale it back, or to have, like I said, 200, and then all of a sudden to be like, oh, here's my core of these people. But I just couldn't stop once I started.
Yeah. And why do you think that is? Was it because you loved it so much and it was like building your dream?
Well, I loved it so much, it was saving me. So I was at the point where, and I don't like to talk about this, but I remember I talked about it at one of your events of just like, I was so angry that I went to the doctor, and I had this health thing going on at the time. And so to see the way that the people at my office responded to my health issue was just so disgusting. And so walking dogs made me feel better in every way. And then anytime I was in that building, I was angry. I started having panic attacks, which now I get is totally debilitating. Yeah, I didn't want to go on medication, but I did temporarily just because that was so new to me. I had never coped with something like that or tried to. And I had some really good friends at the state. One I'm still consider a great friend. And I had to keep everything that I was doing, I guess, a secret from her. Yeah. Because I knew that they would just associate her with me. And that's how they were. It's like they once told her to stay away from me. I think they told her I was career suicide. Wow. And so it's just a sick place. Like, of course, she would have been happy for me and my other friend would have been happy for me. But if they would have known, everyone then when I left would have just literally attacked them. And, you know, put them on the asshole list. Never hire, never promote list. And it's just, what a sick thing to not be able to tell everybody, oh, I'm doing this awesome thing. It's changing my life.
Okay, Front Seat Lifers, are you ready for something epic? I hope the answer is yes. My team got together and we decided yesterday, actually, to come up with a Front Seat Life Challenge. We are gonna go crazy this summer. So here's one of the deals, is lots and lots of people, one, don't know how to compartmentalize. They don't know how to have balance. They don't know how to stay in their front seat in their business and still have fun over the summer. So we are going to do a Front Seat Business Summer Challenge. So the podcast, the community, I'm going to do a book club. I'm going to help you stay focused on what you are good at over the summer and help you stay focused, help you stay determined, and help you stay committed and ready to go all summer long. So here's the deal. The entire podcast, the community, we are going to be transitioning into business content. This is really the core of my business. I'm crazy passionate about it. I totally identify as a badass entrepreneur. I help other entrepreneurs run their business from a place of authenticity and from their front seat. So that is what we're going to be doing basically May, June, July, August. So this is an invitation to you. For those of you who have been sitting on the fence, listening to the podcast, possibly stalking me online, which I love, by the way, watching me on Instagram, and you know that I have a Front Seat Life community. Here's the deal. This is the time to get in. I go live every single Monday in that community, and I answer questions from this podcast. Not only that, but I'm active in the community. I'm engaging with you. The community rules. There are just some bad-ass chicks and a couple of awesome men in that group. Like-minded people, high-level mindset, business entrepreneurs, some life people, some relationship people, and mostly entrepreneurs. And we are up-leveling the crap out of our lives and business. So come join us. Here's the deal. The community is only open May and June. We are going to be closing it on June 30th. It is only $30 a month. This is your time to take action, because that's, interestingly enough, what I'm going to be talking about the entire summer is taking action through structures, systems, and singular focus. It's my trademark system where I help entrepreneurs not only understand who they are, where they are going, and how they are going to get there. But this action piece is critical. When we don't take action in our lives, we can expect the same results, which is often spinning, stuckness, not getting anything done, not doing anything. So this is your invitation. This is the time, May and June of 2019 of this year. This is the time to get your butts in here. We are going to have a community-only event in September. It's going to be business, one day in Seattle, very, very low cost, possibly free. I haven't figured out all the details yet. It's really taking the place of my Front Seat Life event because I want to reward people that are in the community. We're going to do a Don't Do Stuff You Suck At book club. We're going to have a Front Seat Life challenge. We're going to stay motivated. We're going to have fun. We're going to be in our front seats all summer long. So again, I am inviting you, pop over to my website, get yourself enrolled. It's called the Front Seat Life Community. People, it's $30. $30. Think about what you spend $30 on. You take someone to go get coffee at Starbucks and you get a couple of cake pops and all of a sudden you've spent $30. I guarantee you, I promise you, this will be the best investment you make in yourself and your business in 2019. I will see you there. So tell us how you debunked your own myths. So I think everybody tells themselves stories. I don't have pension. I want you to tell the story about mom. Yeah. My mom's going to think I'm a loser. Like, how did all of that unfold? And I know it was just step by step by step. I know you got remarried to your husband for health insurance. You find a savings plan, you find a way to make it work. So debunk your own myths. What were the biggest stories you were telling yourself of why you can't do this?
Definitely that my mom and Matt would be, let's just start with my mom, that my mom would be disappointed in me and think I was seriously insane.
And this is a 40-year-old woman thinking this, or maybe 39. I mean, and so a lot of people think, oh gosh, that's so silly. But we, as a former therapist, like we look for our parents' approval. We just do. So go ahead.
Yes. I was just worried, like thinking, why did I help you with college if you want to be a freaking dog walker?
Oh.
And so I went from one of your events and, so I was still working at Swerve. I still had my state job. I had dog walking clients. And I remember I was going from your event to the airport to drive our mom home. So we were going to be in the car together for like 2 straight days. And this was just at the point where I was like that weirdo sitting in the back of the room. But then people started to realize like, oh, that's Jess's sister.
And she's cool.
And she's kind of cool, maybe. And I remember it might have been Lisa. Everyone was doing their closing, debrief from the 2 days. And I think Lisa said like, well, what about Erica? And I said, I can't talk, or I'll never stop crying.
Wow.
Like, I just have to hold this shit together. I got to get on this plane, get my mom in this car, get her back to Washington. And I didn't really have I didn't think I was going to talk to her about it on that trip, but she just ended up seeing me doing my thing. Because we're trapped in a car for 2, maybe 3 days.
Yeah.
And I'm the youngest. Like, my mom thinks I'm a clown, I think.
But she doesn't now, but you might have at the time thought that.
Like, I just think I'm a jokester. So she thinks that's just how I am all the time, maybe. Yep. And so I was on the phone with people, doing my schedule, trying not to overlap 3 jobs.
Being total girl boss.
Just, doing what I needed to do, talking to people about house sits and, when are you leaving to the airport? Just really trying to organize. And this shit isn't easy. And I hung up the phone and I remember my mom got really quiet and she said, wow, I really think you could do this.
Oh, wow.
And I just didn't say a word again because I thought I would like hyperventilate, crying, and I just wanted to hear more. And so we talked about it. We ended up talking about it, and that moment changed my life because it was almost her saying, okay, you can do it. Because I think on the phone, she thought I'd be like, oh, dude, your dog shit was super healthy and juicy. I don't know what she thought, but she didn't know how hard I worked to make that happen. And
isn't it weird how we need validation from people? Like, just before we started doing this, I was telling you my friend Lauren, she's this massive podcast listener, and I just started, so this episode is going to be in a couple of months, but I just launched it, and she listened, and she sent me a message and was just like, Jessica, this is fucking amazing. And I started crying, and I thought, it's so weird how we need validation. And so if you're listening, like, don't think you don't need validation, because sometimes we do. Yes, we need to chart our own path, whatever. But it was fascinating to me how much mom's basically approval changed things for you, because then it really fast forwarded for you. You just were like, okay, I think I'm going to quit my state job and I have a plan now. And I think, how long was it? Were you going to leave in like 6 months or something?
Yeah, I think my goal was December of that year.
Yeah.
And I ended up leaving in August.
Oh.
Yeah, because
wow,
I needed that. And then Matt was the toughest critic.
Which is fascinating to me. I figured he'd be like, okay, babe, love you. Go for it.
Absolutely not. Nope. He was, even after mom saying, you know, Erica, don't be batshit crazy. You cannot be a dog walker. And he saw how hard I was working. But one day we sat down and did some numbers, and something happened at work where I had taken a ton of time off. Again, I told you I was having this health thing. And my supervisor at the time, who just a complete moron. Nice guy. Just real, not everything's going on up top. And he CC'd me on an email where my bosses had been talking shit about me. And the top, you know, comment was, oh man, you're right. She's only been at work 2.5 hours this week. And of course I knew I shouldn't read down and keep going. And I did. And it was horrifying just to know that, like, I mean, people you've known for 16 years just have no concern for you.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I was gonna have a freaking hysterectomy, and to just know that they were talking about me like that, it just truly disgusted me. So, Matt wanted me to go to an attorney. This is crazy.
I remember all this. Yeah.
And
I love that it seems like a distant memory now, but yes.
And because he just thought that was harassment, and which is funny to me because I just thought, just another day.
Yeah.
Just another day at this horseshit operation. And I remember I said to him, if this attorney, you know, says to us to let it go, will you fucking let it go? Can you just let me leave this in the past? And he said yes. But he thought, oh, they're going to tell us to do this and I'm going to sue their ass. And really, he was just mad. He was just
protecting his wife. Yeah.
And I mean, I think she probably charged $500 an hour. Matt loves rich people telling him what to do. He just loves old rich people.
He does.
He just trusts them. And so I told her everything, and she said to me, you know, you do have a case. It sounds like a really sick place that you work, and you have a case. And you know what you would have to do to win? You'd have to document and fight. And it would be more negative, and you would get more angry, and you might need more medication, and you would let them win. She said, you just told me you feel like they won because they've made you into this angry person, and they would win even more.
Yep.
And so we walked out of there, and I felt like, I don't even know who's the skinniest person I know. I felt like one of those Olsen twins, like that light. I mean, 200 pounds just lifted off of me. And I looked at him and I said, you promised, you said you'd let that shit go. And he stuck to it. And the craziest thing is, on the way home, I was crying, or my allergies were acting up, as I said. And I said, we'll know when they're ultimately just fucking with me, because they'll tell me the dogs can't come to work anymore. Because for 2 years, my dogs came to the office every single day.
And brightened everyone's mood, made everything better.
Changed Susie's life. You know, Lisa was her best friend there, jumped on her, licked her. Everybody loved Cy. And that was it. I think about a week later, all of a sudden, out of the blue, per RCW bullshit lie, your dogs can no longer come to the office. And I called Matt.
I remember this.
I was like breathing essential oils, like wondering if I should drink them to try to calm down. And I remember Matt goes, get your shit and just come home.
Awesome.
He goes, they have fucked with the wrong person. Like, don't mess with Matt Byers' dogs. And that was it. I mean, everything from that point just built up to me leaving.
So then let's kind of end this with that story, because I think it's a powerful one of releasing the anger. So when you left, you were going to do something really funny, and I want you to tell the feeling that built up of what you wanted to do, and then how you actually left, because you had risen above it and you were over their bullshit. So tell us how you were going to leave.
I mean, I pick up dog shit for a living, and I have a Great Dane customer who's wonderful. And
Lola,
I just thought of all these ways, like, I'm going to collect a week's worth of poop. And then I one-upped that to, you know what? I'm just going to poop right in the middle of his desk, and just...
Not leave poop, but actually poop on his desk.
Just get bottom half naked and just poo right there. You know, I hate toenails. I was going to collect toenails from a salon and just drizzle them all over his desk. I seriously wanted to punch that old woman in the face. And I'm just like, who am I? And so I thought of everything. You know, I could, any kind of bodily fluids or excrement I could get, I wanted to collect it. And that last day, I was just sitting there. The dogs came to work with me, even though they were banned at that point. Simon took an epic pee in the hallway. And my two friends there said they were going to leave it and not even clean it up. And we just sat there. We did our thing, worked 4 hours, and then I just left. And
how did you feel?
Again, I was the other Olsen twin. Just... I almost can't even describe it. Like, I couldn't even cry. And it was just like any other day, because I left and walked dogs. And it honestly took me at least a week to realize, oh my gosh, I do not ever have to go back to that dump shithole. But it took a really long time to realize that's not my life anymore. And I still drive by that building. Couple times a day, and to know I don't ever have to do that, it blows my mind. I don't answer to anyone. I don't let those people control me anymore. And I know I've said it on Facebook to you, to everybody. I have for sure had dog poop in my hair, maybe under my nails.
Definitely under your nails.
It's raining a week straight. It's still a better scenario for me than the best day as a state worker. The worst day as a dog walker will forever be better than the best day as a state worker.
2 questions in closing. What have you learned through this process? I know that's a big one. And how much better is your life than it was before, because you chose to follow the signs, you chose to listen to your heart, you chose to take a leap? Because there are people listening right now that are in your situation and they're scared shitless, and they think, oh, I have this state job, I have a paycheck, I can't make enough money. So just tell us.
Yeah. First of all, my life, I can't even put it into words how much better. I mean, everything about it. I, like I told you, I long to be bored, but I don't see bored as a bad word. I used to, in the beginning, be trying to do a lot of stuff on the phone while I'm walking dogs, like, starting a business. And now my goal is to just walk, not listening to anything, not doing anything, just walk, touching some trees, just pulling out all the hippie shit, rubbing some leaves on some dogs, just enjoying every moment of it and knowing I don't have to go back to a cubicle. I don't have to go back to an office. I don't have to listen to anybody telling me what to do. And it wasn't even that, but just, this is hippie, but just they're nasty vibes. I just don't deal with anything that I don't want to deal with anymore.
Yeah.
And the most eye-opening thing to me is how much work it is. I think maybe some new businesses don't succeed because it is brutal. Probably for a year, I averaged like 5 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah.
You're in about 10 minutes, I'm going to make you glue some of my fingers together.
Yep.
I got a full head of gray hair. But I was willing to put everything on the side.
And you're happier than you've ever been.
Happier than I've ever been. I look rough, but I am happier, and all that stuff will fall into place.
Yep.
Everything's getting easier.
Yeah. You bought a house.
Yeah.
This isn't one of the other myths is, my finances or whatever.
Yeah.
Everything is a fucking myth. We tell ourselves these stories to keep ourselves safe. Yet when you finally make the leap, a whole new world can open up to you. It's like choose your own adventure. If you stay stuck in the same fucking lies about, I can't leave this, I can't do this, what about my pension? I'll never be able to buy a house, I can't do the thing, whatever. It's all a bunch of lies. And I like what you're saying too, because, as a coach, a lot of people just think, it's just going to be easy. Well, everyone would do it if it was easy. If it was easy to be a dog walker, everybody would do it. But it's not just about walking dogs. It's about running a business. It's about knowing business acumen, working your ass off, understanding marketing. Mom was just here for Christmas. And I think that's one of the funniest stories that came out of it is, she thinks you're just walking dogs. Yeah. You're posting and you're sending notes to the parents and giving them messages and doing cute shit on Instagram. By the way, everyone follow her. She is Dat Lady, dog and cat lady on Instagram. But you're right. It is a shitload of work.
Yeah, and I think that was really beneficial. I made my mom walk with me while she was here over Christmas, and I thought she was taking a nap in my spare room, and I was in the bathroom, and she was just like, that's a lot of work you put into that. And I think she just thought, I'm sitting over here watching freaking Golden Girls. Yeah. And someone's like, hey, can you walk my dog? And I'm all, okay.
Yeah.
No, dude. 9 to 5, I'm walking dogs, plus then going out at night.
Yep. It's 7 p.m. right now. I mean, people think
And I got a couple more sits tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to see some cats and true. Every day gets easier. I will say that. You learn what you like. You don't have to say yes to everything once you've got, that base of people. But yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's also awesome.
Yeah.
And you're not answering to anyone. And to do what you love, there's nothing better than that. I go home. I don't have just tension. Look at these dogs.
Yeah.
I used to look at my dogs when I was talking about my state job, and I swear I just hated that they were even hearing those stories. And now they're just
chilling because we're sitting on the floor with them, having a conversation. This is my life. This is your life. This is what we get to do in this world. But again, it's not easy. It's not easy. And that's, I think, the biggest myth is that people just think, I'm just going to do this thing. But it is work. But what you just said, it is absolutely so worth it. It's so worth it.
Never would go back.
Yeah. Okay. In closing, anything left that you want to wring out of this story? Anything you want to say for all the people that are probably in their cars crying right now going, holy shit, this is me. I need to do this thing. I need to leap. What do I need to do?
I think just do the numbers.
Yeah,
I mean,
good.
that's what I had to sit. I wasn't married to Matt at the time, and he knew that I wouldn't get health insurance because I'm just a dumb asshole. I just won't do things that are good for me. Again, anything for the dogs, but he knew I wouldn't, so he offered to marry me. I took him up on it, so now I have a dope husband, super great insurance, but I had to sit down with him and myself and really do the numbers. And I remember, like, I'm not a fancy person, but I remember, okay, I'll know I've made it when I can get one coffee, one latte. Like, I want it fancy with the goddamn syrup and the foamy stuff. One latte a week.
Oh.
That was going to be like how I knew I made it in this world. And that's it. Pay my bills and then one latte. And I like you just said, I mean, my car broke on the side of the road in the middle of a day, and 2 days later I had a new car.
A brand new car.
Because you got to do it. But that never would have happened because I was living paycheck to paycheck, like working my ass off at the state. Again, no one appreciated that. They actually thought I was a dick. Even though I was working so hard, but you gotta go where you're appreciated and you've gotta do the numbers. Because if you don't know how much it costs to be you can't leap. You can't know if you can make it doing something else if you don't know that you're surviving doing what you're doing. If I didn't know how much it costs to be me, I couldn't have done what I did.
And it's such brilliant advice because there are only so many hours in the day. There's only so many dogs to be walked. It's all about, you're right, it's all about the numbers, because there's clients that'll say, oh, I want to make $100,000 a year. I'm like, okay, great. Let's just back it out. Like, let's do the math. And then they realize literally what they're charging and how many hours there are in a day. They're only going to make 60 or even 50 sometimes. And that holy shit moment is, oh my God, no wonder this isn't working. Like, you can market your ass off. You can do the Instagram. You can do whatever you're going to do, but numbers don't lie. And it doesn't mean that it can't work. You just have to get creative. Do I then do coaching programs? Do I do group programs? Do I walk multiple dogs at the same time? Do I raise my rates? Do I get creative? Like, how do I hire somebody to help me? Like, you've done all of those things. You started walking dogs together, and then the neighborhoods were like, who is this awesome chick walking my dogs? And then you walk 5 dogs at the same time in the same amount of time, and the dogs get socialized. It's good. It's like a win-win-win. But we get so like in our heads, right? If it can only be so way. Yes. I can only have a paycheck. I can only get my health insurance from my place. I can only have a 401k. There are alternatives for everything when you open up your damn mind. But you're right. You got to get realistic about the numbers.
You have to. And then just knowing, I mean, I said 1,000,000 times, like, I would look in the mirror and say, okay, I can do this for 20 more years. And then I was just like, that's awful. That is really awful. 20 years is a long damn time, but to settle for something that makes you miserable just because you're scared to try something else, like, that's a long time. And it like breaks my heart that people do that and that they settle and don't realize, like, I mean, I'm proud of myself.
Yay.
Yeah.
As you should be.
Yeah.
And how many people want to be proud? Yeah.
I mean, I never would have admit that before. But yeah, it's exciting and I wouldn't change any of it.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And as we're ending, I think this is so ironic that I'm the crier and you are never the crier. And I got through that with only a little bit of sympathy tears, and we got you to cry like 4 or 5 times. But I do think that shows the power of this and how important it is, and not just fucking surviving like that. It's just, I say this all the time, like, it's just so sad. We get one life on this earth, and you can sit behind a cubicle, you can be miserable, you can wait for that pension, you can come home. I think about your life, like every day you would come home. I remember you went through this period, you would come home, you would fall asleep on the couch because you would ghost me on texting. I'm like, where the fuck are you? And you're like, dude, I just fell asleep for like 5 hours on my couch, and then I would get up and go to bed. And you were like, my life is so sad. Yeah. And so now, yes, you're busy as hell, and you're fulfilled, and you're happy, and you have a home, and you're thriving. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Okay. And I wasn't crying. I'm allergic to something in this room.
Yeah, right. My house. That's hilarious. Okay. I love you.
Love you.
All right, everybody, I have a confession to make. I have a new obsession, and that obsession is reading your ridiculously wonderful, loving, amazing reviews on iTunes. I love them. None of this even matters without all of you. So as a thank you, each week I will be reading one review on air and calling out your review with your name or your iTunes handle. So here's how it's going to go. You're going to go to Instagram and follow me at Front Seat Life. When you hear your name called out on the podcast, you are going to send me a DM with your address and say, oh my gosh, you just read my review. And I or my team will be sending you some Front Seat Life swag. We've got books, and we've got tank tops, and we've got journals, and we have these adorable pink swells. So we will be choosing from the goodie bag and sending it out as a thank you. So thank you in advance, and I am so deeply honored to have the opportunity to thank you back. All right, today's review comes from McKenna Bybee. McKenna, McKennah, and then Bybee is Bybee. And this person writes, amazing. And goes on to say, listening to this podcast and Jessica made something click for me. I finally understand myself and those around me and how to get the most out of my relationships. It has brought a lot of peace knowing why people are the way they are and why I am the way I am. I feel so much more secure being an introvert and don't feel the need to try to be extroverted anymore because I understand how draining it is for me and why I get upset as the days goes on. I love Jessica and what she shares on this podcast, and I'm actually tearing up reading that. Thank you so much. As I say almost every week, doing things like podcasts and putting yourself, your heart, your soul out into the world like I try to do to be of service to you, I never really know how it's landing. So 5-star reviews, comments like this are truly the way that I know, sitting in my house in Seattle, Washington, know that from this little place of my earth that this is affecting you guys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Keep them coming. McKenna Baby, hop over to my Instagram, Front Seat Life. Of course, follow me there. Send me a DM. Let me know that you just heard your review, and we will be sure to send you some Front Seat Life swag. Thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, truly, thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a ton of options, and the fact that you are taking time to listen to the Front Seat Life podcast means absolutely everything to me. If you're interested in learning more about the Front Seat Life way of life in the community, there's a couple ways that you can do that. First is always starting with your personality assessment tool. It's available on my website at jessicabutts.com. It's totally free, and it will help you figure out your personality type so you'll have some idea of what we're talking about. Next is, if you're interested in hiring me for a keynote or some coaching or strategy days or the fabulous and amazing Front Seat Life community, you can find out all about all of that at jessicabutts.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.
Bye.